The will to win. Hey, I'm not sure I've ever seen a competitive athlete that doesn't want to win. But the vast majority of athletes want to win most when the ball is thrown up to start play. I'll tell you when you got to want to win. You got to want to win the day before, and 3 days before, and 4 days before. Because the will to prepare to win, to get ready to play the game, is so much more important than the will to win the game. Get in and get back out now. You got guys that can shoot the ball. They're going to punch it inside and look to throw it back out. When you put it inside, look to move back toward the top, because that's where they go. I want to talk to you today about how to win, about what goes into winning. What makes one player better than another? What makes a team the best team in the conference, or the best team in the state, or the best team in the country? So many times when we think about playing the game of basketball, we think about basketball skills, passing the ball, catching the ball, shooting it, rebounding, moving up and down the court. The first thing we have to understand when it comes to winning is a very simple formula. The mental approach to the game of basketball is to the physical skills as 4 is to 1. Your understanding the game of basketball and your thinking about the game is much more important than the physical skills that you have. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about playing to your potential, about understanding strengths and weaknesses, eliminating the factors that bring about losing, what it means to understand how to play the game, how much of yourself you have to put into the game. We want you to know that being a complete basketball player is sometimes very difficult, sometimes impossible. But you have an opportunity to be the very best player that you can be. And that's what we want to help you become. We talk about preparing to win and understanding what you've got to do to be a good player, to be a contributing player to a winning effort. I think beyond anything else, you've got to learn to play to your potential. You know, sometimes we hear about the guy that scores 20 when you win by 3 and 3 when you win by 20. That doesn't do a lot for me. What I want is the guy that scores 16, 17 every time we play. The guy that gets 11, 12 rebounds every time we go out on the court. The guy that is consistent in his performance, consistently good in that performance, that each day, each night that he goes out to play, he's going to play as well as he can possibly play. Play to your own potential. Be the best player you can be every time you step on the court. Let's go, let's go, let's go! Hey, not everybody is a great basketball player. I think I can count on these fingers the number of truly great basketball players who have ever played this game. There are a lot of good players, but there are very few great ones. To be a good player, which is what I think most of us are striving to become, learn what you do well. Learn your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, you can, on occasion, improve your weaknesses. You can work to steadily improve your strengths. But there will be some things, some inherent weaknesses that you have as a player or that your team has, that you just really can't improve greatly upon. When you have weaknesses such as I've just described, you stay away from them. Shot selection. You learn what your shot range is, what kind of a shot can you take effectively, and you stay with it. You don't shoot out of your range. You don't try to make passes that you can't make. You play to your strengths, and you stay away from your weaknesses. You understand not only your strengths, but you got to understand my strengths too as a teammate. And you got to understand not only your weaknesses, but you got to understand my weaknesses too. Help me play to my strengths and help me stay away from my weaknesses. If I'm a big guy that doesn't handle the ball out on the floor, don't throw me the ball in a situation where I'm moving toward the bucket in the break 35 feet away. Give me the ball where all I have to do is catch it and lay it in. Strengths and weaknesses. Understand your own and understand your teammates. Oh boy, Marty. All right, you two guys over here that set that screen. Who set the screen over here? Todd and you got to be shoulder to shoulder. You let Steve split you. You can't let the defensive man split you. Red ball. We use the word understand. I mentioned earlier that the mental is to the physical in basketball as 4 is to 1. When I talk about understanding, I want you to understand the reasons why you lose. You lose because you throw the ball away. You're not careful with the ball. You make passes that can't be completed. You don't pay attention to the defense when you're making a pass. What kind of shots do you take? Do you take shots that you have a 50% chance of making, or do you take shots that you have a 30% chance of making? What kind of shots do your teammates take? If you are able to eliminate those reasons that cause you to lose, poor shot selection, bad passing, failure to block out defensively, lack of pressure on the basketball defensively. Understand those things that bring about losing. You know, we all want to win. We all talk about winning. But I'm a great believer in understanding what goes into losing. Because if we know how we can lose, if we know those factors, those reasons that cause us to lose, then if we eliminate those things, we sure as heck stand a much better chance of winning. Marty, if you don't get the ball at the top of the key, down screen. I'll tell you something about winning that I think is important for you to understand. Sometimes guys that aren't disciplined win. Some guys that aren't prepared to play win. Some guys that don't have the right mental approach win. Now they win games, but they don't ever win championships. And they don't ever become great players. I have a little phrase with our team that goes like this: lucky wins once in a while, but lucky doesn't ever win anything big. Lucky doesn't ever win when it counts, and lucky never, never wins the championship. You can be lucky and win a game, but you can't be lucky and win the championship. You have got to have a consistency in discipline, in preparation, in mental approach that enables you to know that you're going to play well. Given all factors being equal, you've got a much better chance of coming out on top because you're not relying on the other guy to shoot poorly or to make a lot of mistakes. You're relying on what you do, what you know that you can do, what you know that your teammates can do. Being lucky, that's all right once in a while. And that's about all you're going to win when you count on being lucky. Let's go. Let's move. Good, Daryl. Very good, Daryl. That's the way to move to help. Guys ask me, what can I do, Coach, to become a better basketball player? I want to tell you something that will help each person out there become a better player. And that's simply learning to concentrate on what's going on. Concentration to me is the absolute key to good play in this game. I'm going to give you 4 key words. The first pair, the first 2 words, see and look. Hey, everybody that plays this game looks, but very few players see. Very few players train themselves to use their eyes. I'm not talking about shooting motion. I'm not talking about size or quickness. I'm talking about your eyes. Each guy that's playing this game has an ability to see. Develop the ability to see what's going on the court. See the open man. See where to take the ball. See the guy that's being defended. See who's open in the break. Don't just look. Everybody looks at the game, but very few people see. The second pair of words, hear and listen. Your coach is going to talk to you a lot during the course of practice or a game. Most players only hear. They don't listen. Listen to what you're being told. Listen to what's being said. Listen to what is expected of you in your role as a part of your team. You learn to see and you learn to listen, you're going to improve tremendously as a basketball player without doing a single solitary thing with your physical skills. Did you think Uwe set his man up well for you? Well, then tell him. See, if you came down here and if you don't think he set him up, which he didn't do, you had to screen him right here instead of him taking him down and screening him down here low. Then you got to tell him. Tell him to take the man lower. Being able to adjust is essential in being a winning player or being part of a winning team. Basketball is a game of adjustment. The other team changes defenses. The other team substitutes and changes its offensive approach. What went well in the first half might not go well for us in the second half. We've got to be ready to adjust. We've got to be ready to react to what the other team does. We cannot be players that only react, nor can we be a team that is totally reactionary. We've got to force the other guy to react too. We've got to make him adjust to what we're doing, to the changes that we make. But we too have got to be able to adjust. We've got to go against a team tonight that plays a sagging, passive defense, and we've got to be ready 2 nights from now to play against a team that uses a full court, pressing, very, very aggressive defensive approach. That's what makes basketball such a great game. We as players or as members of a team have got to be ready to play this game in a variety of ways. Don't be frozen. Don't develop an ability to only play the game at one speed. Be ready to adjust. Attaboy, Daryl. Excellent, Daryl. If I were asked from a coaching standpoint what the 2 most important words in basketball are, I wouldn't answer by saying shooting or defense or rebounding or pressing. The 2 words I'd pick are simplicity and execution. As a player or as a coach, you've got to keep things simple. You don't dribble the ball 4 times when you only have to dribble it once. You don't take a difficult shot when a teammate has a much easier shot. You don't make the pass that has to go through 2 defensive people when you have an open man over here that you can get the ball to very easily. You keep things simple. By keeping things simple, you make far fewer mistakes than when you try to get fancy or try to complicate the play. Execution is the second word that I would choose in order of importance in basketball. You've got to execute. You've got to do things sharply. Think about what you don't like to play against when you're on offense. You don't like to play against a guy that's in your jock and he's all over you and he's making it tough for you to play. You don't like to play against a guy that won't let you get the ball. You don't like to play against a guy that makes it tough for you to get off the shot. Nobody likes to play against those guys. That's why those guys are so valuable, because they're tough to play against. Learn to do those things defensively that you don't like to have done to you when you're on offense. Now, When you're on defense, hey, you don't like to play against a guy that's moving all the time. You don't like to play against a guy that goes to the offensive board on every shot. You don't like to play against a guy that makes good fakes and takes the ball hard to the bucket. Think about the things you don't like to play against when you're on defense and learn to do those things when you're on offense. Execute. Whatever you're doing, do it well. Do it sharply. Be tough to play against. Hold it a second. The one thing you can't do is help from inside out. You can help across, you can help from outside down, but anytime you're going to come up to help, you're exposing the baseline, all right? Think back to the Minnesota game. They get a bucket against us when they're in that delay game because where did Uwe come from? All right? Did he let the guy come to him right here? Or did he went up to meet him? Anytime you come from inside out, you're going to expose yourself. We've been talking about not only what it takes to become a better basketball player, but I hope what it takes to become a better person. We've talked about how to improve your approach to basketball, but more importantly, I hope we've talked about how to improve your approach to life. The two work hand in hand. You can't be a poor student. You can't be a guy that doesn't pay attention in the classroom and a good basketball player. They just don't go together. You've got to do everything you can to be the best student you can be, to be the best basketball player you're going to be. Hey, don't make basketball an end. Learn through basketball how to be a better person. The lessons that you can learn as a basketball player right now are going to help you so much more down the road, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, that someday you're going to sit down and you're going to say to yourself, boy, am I glad that I had a chance to play basketball. Play to your potential. Live to your potential, and good luck.